You know, navigating the creative app space on your iPhone is a lot like walking down an incredible shopping precinct. In fact, today I'm here in Orchard Road in Singapore, and I've got literally thousands of choices of shops. I can walk in any one of them and I'm sure I'll find something I like. And I guess the App Store is much the same. You can spend hours looking for apps on there. You're going to find something useful in pretty much most of them. However, when it comes to the creative arts and filmmaking, which apps are the ones you should definitely try out? Which are the ones that are the game changers, the ones that are going to really add value to your filmmaking process? Well, I've curated a list of some of my favorites and I want to share them with you. Here they are. Alright, now the very first of our must-have apps that I'm going to show you is called Sunseeker, and it looks a little something like this top left icon here, which I'll tap. Now what the hell is Sunseeker? I can hear you ask. It sounds a bit obscure, but I'm going to tell you this is going to become one of your favorite apps. Sunseeker is a 3D augmented reality viewer, and what it does is it uses a combination of your iPhone's GPS, its magnetometer and its gyroscope to find both your current position and that of the sun, and then in combination with the 3D view down here, I'm using the camera overlay on the Sunseeker app to give us an idea of where the sun is. I've also opened up our window outside. Now you can see we're battling a bit of construction zone going on, so what I'm going to do here is I've got my longest lightning cable connected to my phone so I can capture the screen record. I'm just going to jump out of my window, literally, onto the awning here, and see if we can see what the path of the sun is doing here. So we can see the arrows pointing up on the yellow guideline there, and if I point it straight up there, look, we're looking at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, just after 1 o'clock here, and it's pretty bang accurate. It's actually showing where the sun is on my camera overlay, and in fact if I work my way back down the path there, I can see in hourly increments at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5, 6 and roughly 6:40 p.m. the sun should dip behind the crest of that little hill over there. So that's super useful. I use this app all the time when I arrive at a destination and I can't see the sun, such as at night, and if I need to predict, say, where the sun's going to appear on the horizon line for a dawn shot. So there you go, super handy tool and something you will use a lot of. It's also got this handy map view which shows both solar direction arrows and elevations for each hour, which I really love. So this particular view at the moment shows my office building right in the center of frame, and then it shows me in hourly increments where the sun's going to be. The other amazing thing I can do with this particular view is I can actually slide the time scale, the little calendar at the base of the screen there, forward, so it'll show me in forward projections how the light is going to change in different times of year for the location that I'm at. So I can see in the Australian winter months, I've got a lot less light to work with. In fact, from 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. through to 4:30 p.m. Whereas if I go through to our summer, which will be in January there, I've got light from roughly 6 a.m. in the morning to 8 p.m. at night. And it'll show me how widespread that light and the shadow fall is going to be. Now, of course, there's a number of customization settings you can utilize within the app there to show detailed information depending on your specific needs. But the thing that I really love about this is that I can choose literally any location on Earth and any forward date and see what the sun's going to be doing in hourly increments at that location on that particular date. In fact, I'm going to zoom on to Sydney Harbour here. I'm going to find the Opera House, and this just shows the power of this app. So we can zoom in onto an aerial view there of the Opera House of the structure. We can see exactly how the angle of light affects a building such as the Opera House. And in this instance here, we can see where the sun is, shown by the little sun symbol just past the 1 o'clock there. We can see the shadow fall is intensely accurate, it is actually spot on. And then we can see from the hourly increments thereafter where that shadow fall and the light is going to hit. So if we're planning a late afternoon shot, we can be fairly accurate with this app and dictate exactly where our light's going to play. Okay, now my next app is an absolute must-have, and I don't know about you whether you're really just focused on getting talent releases signed when you do a production, but if you haven't or you don't, it's a habit you need to get into, because if your next project goes gangbusters and ends up in a film festival of note, you need to make sure you can provide releases for the people, the places and the talent that you've used within your production. So here we go, Release Pro. It's a fantastic app. The reason I love it is it gives you quick thorough releases on the go straight from your iPhone. Now there's a lot of release apps available on the App Store already, but most of them seem to be tailored for models and photography. And of course video content is quite different to that. So Release Pro is an app that I have found extremely thorough when it comes to providing a number of releases. In fact, if we just enter Production Manager on screen there, I've just put in a dummy one for Filmbreaker Masterclass, you can see the types of releases that it accommodates. And they include appearance releases, material, location, minor, do not show, and casting. And the wonderful thing about this app is once you've registered a production and you've entered your email details, you can simply tap this Release Someone here, you tap your production, and then once you, for instance, call up what you want them for it, it'll bring up the camera. You then take a photo of them. Hi there. And of course, that's a terrible photo. It then allows you to enter all the person's details, any notes relevant to them, and then submit that for the production as well. So Release Pro is imperative. It means you don't have to carry around a messy clipboard with bundles of paper and drop pens everywhere, and then give someone the task to remember to keep all that paperwork relevant to the production. So it is all contained within your iPhone. The person simply can finger sign on screen with their signature, so all their details are captured. And the other wonderful thing is, of course, because it's all connected via email, anyone that needs to get a copy of the relevant release for your production can do so at the press of a button. So get in the habit, if you haven't already done so. Talent releases, location releases are super important, and Release Pro just keeps it all slimline, organized, and contained within your iPhone. Okay, now the next app I want to introduce you to is this one called Kadrej or Kadrej, or however you pronounce it. It is fantastic. Now Kadrej is a director's viewfinder, and whilst it's not purely an iPhone tool, as in it's not something that's really directly made to help your iPhone filmmaking, it does show how your iPhone can also help accessorize another production using other cameras and other lenses. In fact, if I tap on the bottom of the screen here, it'll allow me to choose a number of different cameras, and as you can see, there's an immensely comprehensive range of cameras there to choose from. And we can then flick through the different lens configurations, which is going to give us a 25, 35, 50 and 85. Just tapping on that will show us what that lens view will simulate. Now the other thing I do love about this particular app is I can customize it to also benefit from showing us the views from a number of iPhone lenses, such as the Moment lenses, the Olloclip 4-in-1 and the Schneider Pro. So it does also come with some iPhone specific adaptations, which are great. But you know, if you're working with other cameras and other lenses, you can dial in any camera, any lens, and the Kadrej Director's Viewfinder will simulate what that point of view is going to look like for your production. Okay, now this next app I'm going to introduce you to is a must-have. This is a not negotiable. If you're going to film professionally on your iPhone, you need Filmic Pro. It is an industry standard right across the world. All professional iPhone cinematographers use Filmic Pro. It is just hands down the best app on the market. It's won a stack of awards, and for good reason. It is excellent. It is an extremely useful app. And the reason it's become so popular is it gives you complete manual control over your iPhone's video record capacity. And when I say complete manual control, everything from the lens to the audio to the megabits per second it records at, to the accessories you can use with your iPhone, every single bit is controllable via Filmic Pro. I'm going to walk you through very basically the basic functions we've got in Filmic Pro. This little square here is a focus receptacle. By simply moving that over part of the picture there, I can focus. By tapping it, I can lock. And if I unlock and move it to another part of the picture, such as the background there, and let it focus on that, you'll see the foreground goes back out of focus. So it's a quick way of adjusting focus. We also have our exposure receptacle there to the right, and again, same sort of concept. If I move that around, it'll take an exposure reading from the different parts of the image that I'm working on, and then by simply tapping it, I can lock the exposure as well. Now the other exciting thing that Filmic Pro allows us to do is take control of our white balance. In the lower left-hand corner there, you'll see the white balance symbol. If I call it up by pressing and holding it, I can then adjust the color tint in our frame. Look at that, how amazing is that? Apple, you should be making this as part of the standard software on any iPhone, right? But up until now you need an accessory app to be able to do it. So Taking control of your white balance is critically important to getting the colors right in your picture that you're filming with. So instantly we've got manual controls over exposure, focus, white balance, and even the ISO. By simply tapping and holding our exposure there, we've got 3 different ways we can vary inputs here to affect our exposure. The first you get presented with is ISO. So you can take control of the ISO with which you're filming with on your iPhone. How cool is that? The second one there is shutter rate. So we can actually take control over the shutter rate on our iPhone. Never thought that was possible before, hey? Again, a very, very handy thing to be able to do. And then last but not least, you've got your exposure compensation slider there. So you can go up and down in that to overexpose, underexpose, or hopefully perfectly expose your image. Now along the top of frame there, you can see we can actually take control of our audio levels. We have a grid that we can choose to display on and off, so we can help line up horizons and buildings and keep things nice and straight. We have a digital image stabilizer. We have access to our user manual. We can select from a number of different lenses, and here we are shooting with an iPhone 7 Plus, so we can turn our lamp on and off. And of course we can also access our digital zoom should you ever feel need to use it. I suggest not. Now if I just shift our frame around a little bit there, you'll see in the bottom right hand corner there we've got another couple of symbols. We've got our settings viewer here, which if I jump into that, we get complete control over things such as resolution. If I tap into there, you'll see that there's a whole range of crop ratios, record resolutions from HD right up to 4K. And the other fantastic thing with Filmic Pro is we finally get control over the data rate at which we record our video with. Now by standard default, your iPhone is set to 25 megabits per second, but you can pump that baby right up to 100 megabits per second, okay? That is 4 times more color pixel information within your video picture. It's going to save a bigger file, but of course it's going to be way better quality for color grading and the like. Under frame rates, we've got complete control over both our capture and playback frame rates. So we can go fast, normal, slow. We can record via a number of different file recording types for our audio and different sampling rates too, plus a number of other features, which is super handy. The device palette will give us access to another number of manual controls that might be handy for your shooting. And of course, presets will open up the ability to save your particular favorite preset. So if you work with certain lenses, microphones, recording rates, resolutions, this is where you can save, and you can see there I've got a couple saved in there already. Simply tap on them to load, and it'll load that particular preset, so you're ready to go. The hardware tab will allow us to actually dial into a number of different accessories that are already made to work perfectly with Filmic Pro, such as the Moondog Labs anamorphic lens adapter. We can simply turn that on and it'll squeeze the frame accordingly. As we said there, that list of accessories is just growing all the time. And on the community tab, of course, you've got access to the knowledge base, both online and via a manual. That's just a really super quick walkthrough, the power of what Filmic Pro can provide you. There is a number of excellent tutorials online on YouTube. In fact, Filmic Pro have got a fantastic channel that'll walk you through each of those features in depth, and I suggest you really do that. If you want to take manual control over your camera, this is the app to do it with. Now, whilst Filmic Pro is an immensely popular app, I do want to introduce you to another one to check out, and this one's called Mavis. Now, Mavis is expensive, I'm not going to lie. It is probably one of the dearest camera apps you will purchase for your iPhone cinematography, but definitely check it out. It also gives you control over all the manual features on your iPhone's video camera, plus it gives you record data rates up to 100 megabits per second, similar to Filmic Pro. But the big point of difference with Mavis is you get access to full-scale real-time video scopes. And these are really fun to play with. You get exposure, focus visualizations, you get focus peaking, expanded focus modes. I mean, these are all things that we're used to seeing on higher end cameras, but here you go, within the power of an app, you've got that fully featured on your iPhone. Now, Mavis also gives you multiple audio selection modes. So if you're obviously plugging in an accessory microphone, it gives you access to that. Plus, if you're working with the standard Apple microphones, you can select those individually, and you can also have influence over the microphone's polar pattern, which is pretty interesting, that you can actually control the way your inbuilt iPhones record sound. So again, it's the most costly app I'm probably going to show you today, but if you like fiddling with all the whiz-bang gadgets and the guides and everything in place, Mavis is definitely worth a road test. Alright, now if you're sitting inside and it's a rainy day and you're looking for something to play with, I've got an app just for that. It's called Scope Flare. This thing is crazy good because it makes the most ordinary scene look fantastic. What it does is it creates this anamorphic lens smear across our picture. Okay, so it's an anamorphic lens simulator for iPhone via an app. So we don't have any glass on the front of this, it is just going straight through this app. And of course what it does is it's creating these stretched light smears that we're used to seeing when we look at feature films that have been shot with anamorphic lenses. It's also applying a color grade over our picture, and it does all of this in live time. Now if I perhaps maybe jump out of this and show you the standard video picture, you'll see the big difference that it creates. So this is the regular view that we're looking at here, just via the iPhone's camera app. And then if I go back to Scope Flare and show you what it's doing there, you'll see how sexy that now looks. Now it also gives you a number of manual controls, including exposure, white balance and focus. It allows you to shoot in 24 or 25 frames a second. But the real bonus here is in the lens flares. Okay, now if I just select the lens flare selector along the base there, you'll see I can toggle through a whole range of different lens flare colors and sizes. And you can see there it's really user definable. You can select whatever kind of lens flare you want. In fact, you can select no lens flare if you so choose as well and just use it for the color grade. So let's just go a nice small warm lens flare there. The next little marker back from that, the paintbrush, will actually bring up the palette of live color grades. So if we just cycle through the color grades, this comes with two. We've got Epic, Pursuit, Smoke, Alien, Haze, Sunset, Mars, Night and Noir. Now as you can see from these it just look, it's a particular look. It's not something you're going to use all the time, but I tell you what, for the right production, if it's just looking a little bit ordinary and you've got a bit of light to play with, maybe Scope Flare is the thing you're looking for. Now if you've heard the film Searching for Sugar Man, part of that was actually also filmed on this particular app, 8mm, and that was an Oscar-winning documentary, so it's already got some highly credentialed stakes there. Okay, we just fired up the app there. I'm just going to walk you through the main features. If I just lift this up here, you'll see we get that nice square sort of framing going on as well, which is quite lovely. The top right hand corner there, we've got the little button which I tap, and it emulates, or it cycles through the 7 different vintage lens options we have available to us. Okay, so you've got a variety of light leaks and vignetting and frame distortions. Looks kind of cool. Alright, so that's definitely a tool to play with. And then in our lower right hand corner there, we've got our film grade wheel, and if I just simply tap that, it allows us to cycle through 10 different film grades, which is again quite spectacular in such a tiny little app that you've got quite a powerful image processing engine at play there. Now the other cool thing in the middle of this wheel, we've got a projector frame shake button, which is super cool. And watch this, if I tap it, it does that to our frame. So it actually simulates when the projector's having a bit of a drama there and going through a bit of a shake. So again, you know, it's a particular look for a particular job. If you're doing historical documentaries, if you're looking to do something cool with old family photos, definitely check out 8mm. It's an amazing little look, and it looks very authentic.
If you could do it, you would have it.
Alright, now while we're covering the nostalgic side of film, I'm going to also take a step back into the days of VHS. And this next app, I want you to imagine it's 1984, you fired up the family camcorder, and this is what you're looking at, okay? This is, without a doubt, one of the most fun apps to be using on your iPhone today. It is VHS camcorder. It gives you just one basic look, the old camcorder look, and if I shake the frame, you'll notice we get a bit of tape distortion, a bit of noise coming in to help make that shot look even more realistic. It even comes with this beautiful 1-speed zoom switch, which I love. It's like the old rocker switches on the VHS camera. Beautiful. And we've even got a titler on the right hand side. If I press that yellow button, we actually can bring up a little title and turn that on and off and flicker it if we want. So you can pretty much program that. If you go into menu, you can add in there a record date, and you can make whatever your cheesy title is that you want to flash in the middle of the screen. You can also switch between your consumer style or professional style interface if you want a slightly different look. But you know, I mean, that's it. That's VHS camcorder. That's all it does. If you want to create that look of a VHS tape, then this is definitely the one for the job. Okay, now the next app I want to talk you through is called Filmmaker. Now take note of the spelling because it's a little unusual. It's a really cool app. I must admit I'm not a massive fan of doing a lot of editing on my iPhone, just simply because of the screen real estate isn't sufficient. However, the times I have played around, I have really enjoyed apps such as Filmmaker because they're incredibly feature packed. In fact, it gives you all the manual camera controls you'd expect in apps such as Filmic Pro and Mavis. It even allows you to film up to 200 frames per second slow-mo in HD resolution at 100 megabits per second, so that's quite spectacular. It gives you live film look filters via an in-app purchase. You can import LUTs, you can do light leaks, you've got audio gain control, you've got VU meters, and via another in-app purchase you can bring up the instant editor, which gives you the ability to edit your vision. You can do drag and drop B-roll, you can do picture-in-picture, you can add music, you can do custom titling, you can even do masks. So it's quite spectacular. It's called Filmmaker. If you want an all-in-one app, you should definitely make sure that one's on your shopping list too. Now I'm not going to be able to show you every single feature of each of these apps. I'm just going to introduce you to them and suggest you download them and explore them in your leisure, because you need lots of fun footage to play with to really make these apps stretch their legs. The first one, Koji Go, was created by Dale Grant, who is Steven Spielberg's and Francis Ford Coppola's color timer, believe it or not. He is really a guy that knows his stuff when it comes to colors. As he says here, I use color to create emotion. That's absolutely right. So this app is a result of a fantastic collaboration. I'll call up a video now that I shot earlier at the beach, and I'll run it through a few of the grades just to show you very quickly what's possible. The other thing this app allows you to do is you can click Advanced, and you can vary the density within each of those shots. So that's kind of cool as well to have some control on that. And of course, color temperature. You can go in and make it warmer or cooler as well. So you can vary each of those grades depending on your particular preference. The second color grading app we'll look at is called Chromic, and this one actually processes your vision via, I guess, loading it very much like a digital negative, and it gives you then a choice of 7 different filter sets to choose from to choose the particular look you're after for your grade. Now the thing I love about Chromic is that with each of these settings that you place onto your vision, you can simply drag up and down within your preview window to adjust the intensity of the filter strength. So this is what's available in the free version, just quickly tapping through those grades. And of course, if we tap on the plus button, we have access to a whole number of other grades that we can purchase to add to our toolkit as well. The last one in our color grading set is called Video Grade, and this in itself is also a very full-featured manual color grading correction app. So to start, we simply start editing. We call in one of our videos. And then right away we've got a number of tools there which are all icon driven, so we can vary our exposure, our contrast, our vibrance. We can even play with our white balance settings as a post-production tool. We can add a vignette. Make that any which size we want. We can play with our shadows and our highlights. We can add sharpness, take it away. And of course we can play with individual colors or filters, if you like, within the frame. We can manage our brightness on a global level, or we can address just shadows, midtones, or highlights. We can address saturation from a global level, so we can affect everything, or we can individually go through and affect shadows, midtones and highlights. And then we've got a few different grades we can choose from as well. We've got chrome, we've got fade, instant, process and transfer. Again, not a hell of a lot of different grades, but it's more the manual color processing within this app that I think is really attractive. So we can actually use to define a before after window pane too, preview pane, so we can see there, we can split it in half this way and see a before and after rendition, or we can do top to bottom. And of course we can preview our creation as well. So there's my 3 color grading apps of choice for your iPhone: Kojigo, Chromic and Video Grade. Now these next 2 apps I'm going to introduce you to are just for fun, okay? These ones are a particular look for a particular purpose. You might be doing a music video or a family video or something a bit more fun, and you want more of an illustrative look to your vision. Well then, Pencil Camera and Toon Camera are 2 apps you should definitely check out. Let's fire up Pencil Camera and I'll show you what it's capable of. Basically, it renders the scene like it's a sketch, and there's 15 different sketch-like effects that we can toggle through. Now an app like Toon Camera is good fun because it gives you these multiple drawn graphical sort of effects. So you can go cartoon style, pencil, stipple, ink, wax crayon, dry crayon, watercolor, any which way. There's so many different effects in the palette for you to experiment and play with. Again, it's just a bit of good fun. Now if you're a bit of an analog fan and used to love a bit of tape distortion, a bit of glitching, check out these next 2 apps. They really are kind of clever. Now glitching is quite popular at the moment, and Glitch gives you over 30 tools for recreating the magic of analog tape-based video glitches right on your iPhone. So once we've imported our video, we just simply select the relevant effect we're after. Again, if we touch and hold down on our vision, we can see that effect, and by simply swiping up, so I'm dragging my finger up across the picture. If I got my finger all the way down across the picture, there's no effect, and if I now draw my finger up across the frame to the top, it shows us the maximum glitch effect. So I'll do it around 50%, and there's a multitude of ones we can play with here. Great manual effect control as well. You can vary the strength of it, you can export it to your camera roll, you can do all sorts of things. It's called Glitch, it's great fun. Again, Glitch Art is another very cool app for doing some manual distortion to your video, heaven forbid. And we simply start by importing a video clip. I'll import the very same clip we just played with before. It'll present you with the option of either having square or original aspect ratio for your video. We'll always go original. So there you go, we've got our preview pane, we've got our beach vision which we have been playing with, and we can add our effect. So if I touch some of these here, you'll see what it actually does. Now, the only downside with Glitch Art is it does take probably a little bit longer to process the files. But again, if it's a particular look you're after, you're well worth waiting. If you've got need to add graphics or text over the top of your video while it's still in your iPhone, then you should definitely check out Over Video, because this app is designed specifically to add fully customizable text quickly over the top of any vision that you shoot. Collabracam. It's an interesting name, but I tell you what, it's an even more interesting app when I fire it up. Now, don't let the simple interface of this app fool you, okay? I'm just going to leave it on the logo there before I bring up some screenshots from the iTunes store. This app is incredible because it allows you to do live video switching for multiple iOS devices via either Wi-Fi or hotspot, or any wireless router really. You don't need any data or any Wi-Fi as such to be able to edit live. Now, a basic run through on how Collabracam works is you need an iPad as the edit switcher. Then, if you've got up to 6 friends with iPhones all running the same app, each of those iPhones can be a remote camera and the iPad becomes the live edit switcher. So you as the director gets to sit there with the iPad in your lap and you see feeds from each of your 6 iPhones out there, or iPods, or whatever they might be, and you can edit, you can switch live between those 6 different cameras. How amazing is that? You can even send live camera directions to each of your operators while they're filming. You can cue the next camera to be on standby before you cut to them to make sure that that cameraman's awake. And at the conclusion of the shoot, all the clips are collected and assembled, and they export individual full movies to each camera roll on each device. And then of course the master device, the iPad, will collect all the vision from each of the devices and create one HD stitched movie together for your enjoyment. If you want to know more, make sure you check out Collaboracam's user guide. It's available as an iBook. You should definitely check it out. It's super packed full of information that's going to help you set this thing alive. Now, if you've ever shot video and you've had some wind hiss noise in there, or a frequency noise, or something annoying that you just have not been able to get rid of on your iPhone, you should make sure you've got this app in your toolkit. It's called Audio Fix, and it really is sensational. It gives you a choice of up to 11 different noise reduction filters for you to try, and it gives you a very easy way to compare the before and after results simply by pressing and holding the compare button in the bottom right hand corner. Now, for a very simple quick demonstration, I've just imported the piece of vision I shot at the beach earlier, which had some wind noise and some waves crashing, and I'll just show you a couple of the before and after effects of what these audio filters do to this sound. And last but certainly not least, we've got AirLink. Now this is a super clever app which actually uses 2 iOS devices to create a completely wireless digital audio recording environment. Imagine that, just with using an iPad or an iPhone together, or 2 iPhones. There's no wires, just a Wi-Fi or a personal hotspot to create a live audio monitoring environment. It's got a range of up to 350 meters. Now the only downside is it doesn't actually sync with the video recording app yet, but it's useful as a backup slave audio tool all the same. And I've spoken with the developers and I think they're keen to incorporate video as part of this as well, if you show them a bit of love. Now of course it's luxury to have it. Every single time I put the camera down and I stop recording pieces for the masterclass, bam, something else pops up that we just absolutely need to talk about. There's 3 other apps I need to add into this particular section which are vital to how we see the world as a filmmaker on our iPhones and iPads today. The first app is Clips by Apple. It is completely outstanding when it comes to creating fast social content that's automatically subtitled. You cannot go past Clips. It also automatically ducks and dives the sound from its library of soundtracks that you can add to it. You can add graphics, you can add text, it's heaps of things. It only outputs in square format video, but for social, obviously that's perfect. So definitely check out Clips if you need to create content on the hop and you want it subtitled for the masses that don't listen or watch their feeds with the sound on. The second app I need to talk to you about is Ustar. Now Ustar is very much a layer-driven editing app. It's intensely powerful. It is even more so powerful because of its special visual effects that it empowers into your iPhone. And in fact, the stuff that Ustar does that you just cannot even do in After Effects and Final Cut, it is mind-blowing. It is incredibly powerful what it can do, but by a mile. The most incredible app that's come out, which is going to cost you around the $30 mark, is an app called LumaFusion. This thing changes the editing game on iPhone and iPad. And I have said before, I'm not a massive fan of editing apps, mainly because of the screen real estate issue when it comes to an iPhone. LumaFusion changes that. They've really come up with an intuitive layer-based editing app which is intensely powerful, very user-friendly. You can stream up to 3 layers of 4K video simultaneously with real-time effects on it, and it doesn't even slow your device down. I don't know how they do it. You can add unlimited layers of titling. You can add up to 3 layers of sound. You've got keyframing. It's frame accurate. You can actually enlarge it and be frame accurate with your editing. It's got very powerful color controls within your video clips as well. It is super amazing. Like I said, if you enjoy using iMovie, you're going to be completely blown away at LumaFusion. And if you're a Final Cut user, this thing is what you've been looking for on your iPhone and your iPad. Check it out.